This is a spring day. Very pretty it was, too. So I thought I would read you a spring poem. It's a love poem of mine called Cherrylog Road. This comes out of a time in my adolescence when I went to school in North Georgia, right near where Deliverance was made, and in a little town called Crabapple, Georgia. You don't believe there is any place called Crabapple, Georgia. But there is. In fact, when I played high school football, I was known as the Crabapple Cannonball. The members of the immediate family. Anyway, there was my brother Tom and I had a motorcycle that we bought, and we used to ride that to school sometime, and there was a little girl that was a cheerleader for the football team named Doris Holbrook that I used to take home sometime from school. She was a lady of not very great virtue, which we all knew. She most of all. And she lived, as her mother was dead, as I remember, and she lived with her father. He was a great big red-headed fellow. I was scared to death of him. He was supposed to have killed 3 or 4 people, and I felt it was a little earlier in the day for that treatment for myself. And he kept real close watch on Doris all the time. God knows what's going on in that house. Yeah, it probably was. I don't know. But love will have its innings, and we devised a way to get together where he wouldn't think too much about it, because there was an old junkyard of automobiles at the corner of State Highway, and this little dirt road where she and her father lived about half a mile down there, that way, called Cherrylog Road. This was in the first days of the stock car race. There were a lot of cars piled up in this old junkyard in the country with numbers on them and so on, and the weeds were growing all through them, kudzu vines, and there were insects and lots of bugs and beetles and mice and snakes and all kinds of things in those old cars, And they were real poor people, and sometimes she would be able to get away from the home place and bring a crowbar and a wrench and some pliers and so on up from the house to the junkyard at Cherrylog Road and Highway 106 and get the scrap metal off these old cars to sell for bulk weight. So, and there we saw our chance, because when Doris would come up Cherrylog Road with a hammer and wrench and pliers and crowbar, I would come blasting in from the opposite direction on my Harley and park it, and then we would work into the center of the junkyard. It seemed important to reach each other in the middle of the junkyard, going through the back seats of cars and out and climbing over the hoods and everything to get to the middle. We would meet in this old Pierce Arrow. It was right in the middle of it. It was as hot as the devil in there. Ooh, gracious me. This is about my variation on the Romeo and Juliet. And I remember the old cars, what that old grandmotherly car was doing in the middle of all those stock cars and so on. I don't know, but there it was. And it had a part of a glass panel between the front seat and the back seat, and a part of the remnants of an interphone there, and a little vase for flowers. We used to put weeds in it. So, and a very spacious back seat. And the first one of us to get there would get in the car and wait on the other one coming, and thinking all these noises that the mice and little creatures were making would be the other one coming, and thinking also that it might be the father coming. But I don't recommend it. Yeah, I do recommend it. I think it's great. And I remember with great affection. When I wrote this out years later, and it was published in the New Yorker. And after about 2 weeks after it came out, 17 women wrote to me that they remembered it well. but why didn't I say it really was in Kansas, California, and Louisiana instead of Georgia? I wrote them all back dutifully. It was not in Kansas. No, it was in Louisiana, California. It was in Georgia. But, maybe next time. I don't know. But anyway, it's a poem called Cherrylog Road, and it's about these matters. And also about the advent of adult powers as it comes so mysteriously to children and 13, 14 years old and so on. Say like in the boy's case, last year he was riding a bicycle, and now this year he's got this huge engine thing. In other words, he can do a lot of things this year, a lot more sense of power from various sources that he had up to this time. And it's about that too. Mystery, danger, all that, youth, spring. Off Highway 106, at Cherrylog Road, I entered the 34 Ford without wheels, smothered in kudzu with a seat pulled out to run corn whiskey down from the hills. And then from the other side crept into an Essex with a rumble seat of red leather. And then out again aboard a blue Chevrolet, releasing the rust from its other color, reared up on 3 building blocks. None had the same body heat. I changed with them inward toward the weedy heart of the junkyard, for I knew that Doris Holbrook would escape from her father at noon and would come from the farm to seek parts owned by the son among the abandoned chassis, sitting in each in turn as I did, leaning forward as in a wild stock car race in the parking lot of the dead. Isn't that good? Seriously, man. It is, too. Time after time, I climbed in and out the other side, like an envoy or movie star met at the station by cricket. A radiator cap raised its head, become a real toad or a king snake as I neared the hub of the yard, passing through many states, many lives, to reach some grandmother's long pierce arrow, sending platters of blindness forth from its nickel hubcaps and spilling its tender upholstery on sleepy roaches. The glass panel in between lady and colored driver not all the way broken out. The back seat phone still on its hook. I got in as though to exclaim, "Let us go to the orphan asylum, John. I have some old toys for children who say their prayers." I popped with sweat as I thought I heard Doris Holbrook scrape like a mouse in the southern state sun that was eating the paint and blisters from 100 car tops and hoods. She was tapping like code, loosening the screws, carrying off headlights, spark plugs, bumpers, cracked mirrors, and gear knobs, getting ready already to go back with something to show other than her lips, new trembling, I would hold to me soon, soon, where I sat in the ripped back seat, talking over the interphone, praying for Doris Holbrook to come from her father's farm and to get back there with no trace of me on her face, to be seen by her red-haired father, who would change in the squalling barn her back's pale skin with a strop, then lay for me in a bootlegger's roasting car with a string-triggered 12-gauge shotgun to blast the breath from the air. Not cut by the jagged windshields, through the acres of wrecks she came with a wrench in her hand, through dust where the black snake dies of boredom and the beetle knows the compost has no more life. Someone outside would have seen the oldest car's door inexplicably close from within. I held her and held her and held her, convoyed at terrific speed by the stalled, dreaming traffic around us. So the black snake, stiff with inaction, curved back into life and hunted the mouse with deadly overexcitement. The beetles reclaimed their field as we clung glued together with the hooks of the seat springs working through to catch us red-handed. Amidst the gray, breathless batting that burst from the seat at our backs, we left by separate doors into the into, in, into the changed other bodies of cars. She down Cherrylog Road, and I to my motorcycle, parked like the soul of the junkyard, restored, a bicycle fleshed with power, and tore off up Highway 106, continually drunk on the wind in my mouth, ringing the handlebar for speed, wild to be wreckage forever.